Hey, I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Jack with WSOU, and I'm here with Andrew of Attack Attack. How are you doing today?
Good man, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You guys have just released your album Attack Attack 2. How has the reception to that album been so far?
It's been super positive. I don't want to say I was surprised, but I mean, I think there's a certain doubt. I think that starts to creep in when you start working on new stuff, especially after things that have been received really well.
Hmm.
There's always like an expectation or a pressure that you're going to receive the same kind of, you know, I don't know, just the same response or better. And so, yeah, I mean, with this new record, the fans have been super receptive, and they've been like really excited about a lot of the tracks, and especially at the shows, talking to people, they've had wildly different answers on what their favorite tracks are, which is a really good sign from my perspective. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's about as good as we could ever hope for.
Yeah, for sure. And you can probably also see that kind of show through on you. You guys are on your first full US headliner since your hiatus, I guess I would call it, right?
Yeah, we've done some smaller tours and kind of hit the East Coast and the South, but we haven't gone all the way west yet since we've been back. So this is the first one since like 2013.
Yeah. How has that tour been so far? Have you guys hit the West area or just East Coast right now?
Right now, I'm actually in Detroit,
Oh, nice.
so we are going to be working our way west after tomorrow. Yeah, I mean it's been great. The tour's been awesome. It's like I said, the crowd response has been super positive, and people have been really screaming the words to One Hit Wonder, especially,
Hmm.
which is really cool. It's definitely like it's an extremely cool thing to put out, music, and then right after that have such a strong response live to it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think we're all really stoked.
Yeah.
Battling the normal elements. Some of us are, you know, getting the colds, scratchy throats, and other
Yeah.
normal things.
Yeah, no, I get that. Just wanted to take it back a little bit and go kind of back to when Attack Attack first started, or more so just like when did you first originally get into music and what was some of your favorite bands growing up?
I started playing drums when I was 10,
Hmm.
so it's been a long time. And in the early days, I was mainly into like jazz and big band music, and so like Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, and then I actually had this record. It was called the Drum Battle, and it was between Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich,
Hmm.
and that was pretty cool. So like when I was a kid, that was the kind of stuff that I listened to. Then once I got a little bit older, I discovered metal. So I kind of went from like that to then being super into like necrophagist and like Children of Bodom and stuff like that. And then we took a little detour when I found Seosin and like Drop Dead Gorgeous, and then kind
Hmm.
of like a lot of the early scene stuff with Devil Wears Prada and things like that. So yeah, kind of all over the place, and
Hmm.
I was just sort of like discovering newer, wilder, and further apart things. But yeah, those are some of the standouts.
Yeah, for sure. Did you go straight from jazz into like necrophagist and stuff like that?
Oh
Uh,
yeah, just straight
That's
straight to it.
awesome. That's so cool. It was it kind of a sense of like you just kind of stumbled across it, or like were your parents always like big metalheads, or you just kind of like one day
Oh
looked
no,
up and were like necrophages, here you go.
yeah, I mean it was just one of my friends was super into the band and started playing it, and I heard it, and I was just like, oh, this is sick. This is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
And yeah,
it's also probably cool at that point, like working backwards and being like, this is how like extreme it can go. What's it like
hmm
when you dial it back a little bit and kind of like
hmm
go from there, go from necrophages to Seos and then Uh, but yeah, how did that all then kind of come into when Attack Attack first came out, or how did the music style of Attack Attack first come up when it came to incorporating like the synthy auto-tune parts with the heavier sections?
um, I I don't know. I think we talked about this a lot recently as we were working on the new record, and
Hmm.
I was just trying to get back to figuring out like what happened there, basically, what was like the secret. And really, when we were writing our early music, it was just kind of like I don't know, it was very unstructured, and we were just kind of writing stuff that like we wanted to hear right then, right there. So
Hmm.
we drew a lot of influence from stuff that was happening at the time, like a lot of the reason for the hard auto tune stuff that we
Hmm.
did because we were big fans of Helga, and so like we love that stuff, and we were like, that's really cool. We should do some stuff like that. And so we were definitely kind of like from like a sound perspective, just kind of like foraging for different things, and then just like immediately slapping them into our songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it really wasn't. I don't ever really recall trying to like make anything in particular. We just kind of wrote stuff part by part and just picked whatever we thought was cool, like
Sure.
right then, put it together.
Sure. It was also probably just like it came naturally. It was just probably you guys. How old were you guys when you first made like the first iterations of the band?
I think I was 17.
Yeah, so it was probably just like a bunch of teenagers and 17-year-olds in a room, just like what's fun and what can we come up with and bring not even necessarily like bring to the table from the sounds of it, just like what can we come up with and what do we think is cool and fun to do. Um, and yeah, you've been, from my knowledge, in every iteration of the band since the start of it.
Mm-hmm.
Besides obviously the members changing around, how have you watched the band change sonically and even like maybe even like the attitude towards making music?
Um, I don't know. It's a complicated question.
Hmm.
I know that we've since the band like came back, um, we spent a lot of time just kind of messing around with everything, with
Hmm.
and just trying to figure out like what is what is this, what is this, you know, what is Attack Attack like here,
Hmm.
in this era, what is kind of what's happening in the overall genre and the scene in general, and like where does it fit in? Does it fit in? Like, should this even, does this matter? Is this even relevant anymore?
Sure.
And so through, creating Long Time No See and Dark Waves of Disaster and now, self-titled 2, we just kind of branched out into a bunch of different directions, just tried a bunch of different things just to see, like, I don't know, what do people respond to? What do they care about? What do we like?
Hmm.
What do we like writing? Because I think at this point, um, I don't know. I think we can write just about any kind of music and be happy with it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's not really about that. It's more about creating some kind of an experience and finding a thing that's like entertaining for us and exciting for us and also for the fans.
Hmm.
And between the last three releases, building up to self-titled 2, I think that we kind of like found that again. And
Hmm.
when we went to make this new record, Chris and I spent like a year and a half going in and out of the studio, working with other writers, and our motto for the whole record was it's just not that serious. So we
Sure.
just kind of focused on like getting back to I don't know, let's just write stuff like because that's because we want to hear it.
Do you
And so that's how we ended up with this record being the way that it is.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that there wasn't ever a part of Attack Attack where it felt more of like a job more than just like having fun and writing music? Because from the sounds of it, like you really emphasize just like having a good time with writing it and making it as like seamless as possible and just writing whatever you want. Was there ever a point, I guess, pre-hiatus where it felt like not that you were forced to make music, but it felt more of like, okay, I have to do this?
Yeah, I mean, before the band went on hiatus, it definitely felt like that.
Yeah, for sure. I even like I checked a little bit. Was there a fourth album that never got released or was like in the process of being made? How
Mm-hmm.
did that necessarily, I don't even want to say fall apart, but how did you guys kind of come to the conclusion of this album shouldn't get made and we should go on hiatus?
I don't know. It wasn't really a decision. Everyone just kind of like sort of went away.
Sure. I also get that. And yeah, before we go into new Attack Attack and Attack Attack 2, I was just curious that What were you up to during the band's hiatus? Were you still involved in music? Did you find another hobby and another passion somewhere else in the middle of Attack Attack?
I actually, so the way that I met Chris was we started another band called Nine Shrines. So
Hmm.
we did that from like 2014 to 20, and so we were doing that for a while, and then we eventually stopped doing that band as well. And then
Hmm.
I took a quick foray into. I actually co-owned and ran a custom gunsmithing and um, basically a gun shop in Ohio
Nice.
for like basically just over the pandemic, which wasn't really on my bingo card, but it was a lot of fun. We were doing a lot of that. If you're familiar with it, Cerakote. It's a special like ceramic coating, and you can like
Hmm.
paint firearms. And you can do all kinds of custom designs and stuff, and like making whatever. So we were doing a lot of this like custom stuff.
Nice.
Also, just some like contracting work and stuff. But yeah, that's what I was doing, and then I got the call to find out if I was interested in doing Attack Attack again. And I was like, all right, well, I'm bored. Let's do it.
You kind of going back, would you consider yourself like a gun nut and like just interested in like guns and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I got really into shooting. I know Cameron is too, and he does more competition stuff. I just
Mm.
kind of am more like I
It's
don't
like a
know. I
hobby.
like yeah. He's a little deeper into it now, which is funny because he didn't even own a gun when I met him. Now he's got like a $20,000 set of night vision.
That's awesome. Uh,
Sorry.
but-
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's definitely cool. Like it's I don't know, it's fun and we like doing it, but it's expensive. It's kind of
yeah.
like it's kind of like a more violent version of golf. There's so many accessories, you can just kind of keep going.
I have never thought of shooting as a violent version of golf. That's awesome. Uh,
I mean, skeet shooting is very much like it. There are a lot of aspects of like shooting sports that definitely have a lot of overlap.
no, that's awesome. I never even like I haven't seen a lot of like shooting events and stuff like that. I'm very like I think it's cool. I've never done it personally, but I think it's cool. But like I've never thought of it as like I never knew the parallels between shooting and golf. And now that I do, I'm like more interested in what like is up with that. Uh, but yeah, you kind of answered this before, but I was just curious, what was the original idea behind bringing Attack Attack back, and why uh, was it felt that 2020 was the year to bring Attack Attack back?
I don't know. I think it just kind of happens, and
Mhm.
I think the root of it just kind of lies in. I think we just felt like we had unfinished business with the
Sure.
band,
Yeah, I get that.
and so yeah, now we're just kind of playing that out.
Hmm. Does it feel like um there's like a new life between the band, between newer fans that didn't even know Attack Attack was a thing back in, or like Stickly was a thing, uh, and now are open to this whole new world of like maybe the first Attack Attack song was one hit wonder and something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we we talk to our fans quite a bit at shows, and I just kind of asked
Hmm.
them in a nice way, like, why are you here, basically. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's honestly at this point the audience has gotten pretty diverse, especially in age, where like there are still 18, 19, 20-year olds that have like discovered this, and they're doing like the full blown hot topic like MySpace era thing. They One of them literally brought like one of those digital point and shoot camera. Like I used to have this camera when I
Hmm.
was a teenager, and so it always just kind of fascinates me to see that, and then to also see people that are our age that are in their 30s, and they're just kind of like moving into this different phase of life, and they still want to come back and enjoy this thing. So it's just I don't know. It's really wild to see that there's still. It's kind of like the same kids are finding this band, but in a totally different era. But
Sure.
yeah, I think that just sort of I think that just kind of like affirmed what I thought as far as I felt like there was there was unfinished business. I guess is the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah.
Like there was, there was some unreleased energy here, and obviously, there are still people discovering this and being like, oh, I think that this is still so cool, and
Yeah,
I
for
never
sure.
got a chance to like be there.
Yeah. I think there's also like, especially post-COVID, at least to me, there's been a resurgence in like especially going to shows. Um, it just seems like everyone now wants to attend as much shows as they can and
Mm-hmm.
are discovering so much. I've discovered so much music just from doing that and just from being like, okay, I'm bored. What's a show near me? And just doing
Mm-hmm.
something like that. I also think that like, and I wasn't there when the scene aesthetic was originally invented, I guess. But like there seems to be a resurgence even with that of just seeing kids are coming back, it seems.
Yeah,
Uh, which is kind of like people, I'm 20, and it just seems like other 20-year-olds are having like their own scene moment and their own like
yeah.
version of that. Yeah. But kind of going into that, with this being your first album in 13 years, why did you decide that now was the time that you guys should release your first full length and not after the first EP or the second EP, or even just like no EP at all and you just throw Attack Attack 2 at them right then and there?
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like the right time. It was kind of an accident, and
Mhm.
that's just sort of how we plan things now.
Sure, I got that. And I know you guys, I know you were saying that you kind of use the three EPs just to kind of like not even test the waters, but try out new things and see like what you can necessarily get away with in a sense, or see if you guys still have it. Um, did it ever come across as like one of those EPs? Were those EPs written to be EPs, or was it kind of just like you wrote until you were like, okay, this is enough music, we're gonna release this?
Yeah, we were just trying stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, it works. I think was there any kind of like I don't want to say like after the third EP, I know you just kind of said it just kind of happened, but after the third EP, was it like, okay, now we should make an album, or was Attack Attack 2 just kind of like wrote until your heart's content until you got the 11, 12 songs that you have now, and you were just like, okay, this is Attack Attack 2.
Yeah, I mean, after the third EP, I mean, honestly, after that EP, I was kind of like, maybe this just isn't working. And then dance happened.
Sure. I
And
was
once we wrote dance, and I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh, okay, there it is.
yeah.
That's what we're looking for. And so we just kind of kept writing more on top of that, and then in the midst of that, like the excitement of finding that track and that energy, that's kind of when I was like, hey, let's just keep going. Let's go all the way with it.
Yeah, for sure. I totally get that. What were some inspirations heading into this latest album?
Um, I don't know, Miller Lite, um, vodka, um, Red Door. Um, yeah, I mean, I think those were all of our inspirations for the record.
Um, was being in the studio more of like I don't want to say a party setting, but was it just kind of you were all there and then whatever came out of it came out of it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that I mean, so the uh, the guy that used to play guitar in Nine Shrines with Chris and I, Andrew Bayless, is the producer in Nashville. He does a bunch of cool stuff. So
Mhm.
he was producing this record, and then the other producer that works on the record is a guy named Evan McKeever, who also is in Nine Shrines. He works on a bunch of cool stuff in Nashville, and they both do lots of country. Evan does more rock, but they both do a significant amount of country stuff. So like these are all people that we know really well.
Mhm.
And then the other writers that we got to come in to work with us also, ironically enough, many of them are very well known and established country writers.
Hmm.
but they are from like they come from this world, you know. And so yeah, I don't know. We like I said before, we were just kind of we just sort of had this attitude of let's just do whatever and just kind of see what happens and like not try to make anything and not worry about the result and just worry more about like having a good time and having a good experience to create a good experience. That makes sense. So we
Yeah.
were just kind of like hanging and laughing. I mean, we get to the point where we're just grabbing random sounds from Splice and like, how do we put this in here? Like, there's elephants trumpeting. There are literally random sounds sprinkled throughout a bunch of the tracks in the record just because we thought it was funny.
Yeah.
We were like, that's ridiculous. How do you make that sound cool? And so there's just like a lot of that. So that was just kind of like the attitude and the energy in all the sessions was us just not really caring at all and just trying to have fun and like make something that's I don't know, like something that we're excited about.
Yeah, for sure. I think it definitely shows through the music. I know you just kind of said that uh you guys would just kind of write and have fun with writing, but were there any like particular like hard songs to write? Did any songs just kind of come naturally and easy and just kind of like you wrote it first try and it came out and you're like, yep, this is good. This is going on the record, while others were more of like a challenge, I guess.
I'm pretty sure we we home run most of the songs on the record in one
Mhm.
day.
Oh, nice. What's
Yeah.
how quickly is it then making the record and writing the record?
Oh, it took like a year and a half.
Oh, okay, nice. Um, I guess
Yeah.
in the case,
But that's more we were only doing like one or two sessions a month.
okay,
So
was
we were like basically we were trying to focus on doing, booking a couple of days, coming in, writing a couple of songs, and then being able to sit with them and then like have time to build up the next idea.
mhm.
Because, we've all tried writing an entire record, like just going someplace and booking like 5 weeks, and like, oh, let's go write an entire record. And what usually ends up happening is you get like between two and five good songs, and then a bunch
Mhm.
of songs that are just like, we need the rest of a record.
Yeah, for sure.
And it
Um,
shows, dude. Like it totally shows that you can hear it where there's a handful of tracks that feel super crafted and like I don't know, they just have this pizzazz about them, and then a bunch of the rest of them where you're just sort of like,
yeah, for
it's
sure.
here.
Do you think that's kind of like how I've always found it is like the phrase like all killer no filler usually comes from albums that are written within like long periods of time. Do you feel that's probably because it takes like multiple writing sessions and just kind of trimming, not even like trimming the fat, but like taking the good stuff from all those sessions and putting them all into one album, while like those like 5 week sessions, like you said, is like, well, time to write all the filler for the album and make it an album.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's like it's just an energy thing. You can only be so creative for so long,
Hmm.
and at a certain point, you have to kind of let that recharge, and you just can't time it. And so I think it just always works better to take more time because perspective helps us shift a lot. You can't take too much because then there's the other enemy is if you take too long, then by the end of it, you're like, well, man, the music that I haven't put out yet's already outdated.
Hmm.
So it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a personal favorite song on the record, whether it just comes with making it or it's a song that you go back to the most when listening? Is there any song on the record that just stands out to you personally as like a favorite song?
Mm, I think Carmageddon and are my two favorites,
Hmm.
but it's really hard to say.
For sure. Probably like deep down inside, like all of them are your favorite. Like picking one is
It's
probably like, uh,
it's definitely yeah, it's hard. They all rank very highly for me, and I was definitely extremely happy with how all of it turned out. But I don't know. I think as far as ones that like, I don't know. Carmageddon, Walk on Water also is one that I just like really love that song.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
it'd be those three.
for sure. Yeah. Um, and again, from the sounds of it, it just sounds like the studio from the times you were in the session just sound like a party, basically, where it was just you hang out with a bunch of other guys. Do you have any fun and interesting stories that occurred during the writing process of that album?
I don't know.
Better question, do you remember stories that have
I
happened during the writing process of this album?
think it's kind of one of those things where most of the things that would be funny to us will
Hmm.
have no context for anybody else, so it won't be funny.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah, I totally get that. Something that was funny though was the marketing for the first single, Dance. What was it like coming up with the marketing for that? And what was it just it all like getting it all set up and just the process of making it happen?
Um, well, when we finished dance, Chris and I were sitting together, and once again, I looked at him and I said, "I don't know, dude. I think this is too good. We can't just give this to them. They have to work for it." And
They
so
have
we were
to
sitting
earn
there and we
it.
were like, "Okay, what do they like? What do scene kids really hate?" We're like, "Okay, country music, perfect." Um, so what's going to really drive them totally insane? And so I was like, well, we could do a country version of a song. And then we finally landed on me taking the band solo country and just like just ruining everything. And we were literally crying, laughing at the studio on the couch. So we kind of like sketched out the timeline for that, and then I got to work putting it all together and
Mhm.
working with our manager and getting the emo night crew to get in on the scam and setting up the whole big reveal and then making the country version of dance. And then, yeah, we just kind of ran all of it and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, for sure. I know you kind of in there mentioned making like seeing kids angry. Do you have fun with like rage baity content and seeing like people's reactions to things you do? Or even like there's a song on the record called I Complain on r/metalcore. It's like coming up with that where you're just like, yeah, people are gonna like lose to this and it's gonna be great to watch.
Yeah, put a lot of effort in this.
For sure. Yeah, I totally get that. And kind of rounding out everything, you guys are definitely throughout your career no stranger to criticism. How have you dealt with criticism over the year? And would you say that nowadays, would you say that people are more accepting or less accepting of what Attack Attack is doing?
I mean, when I was younger, it was definitely really weird
Hmm.
because it's hard to uh, it's hard to go from just making music in the basement with your buds to suddenly getting absolutely lambasted on international news.
Hmm.
And
Sure.
so that was really crazy to have that the internet had just kind of reached that point of I don't know, suddenly everyone has access to it, but nobody quite understands what it is yet, if that makes sense. And
Hmm.
so like it was possible to have these viral moments before I think we really understood what viral moments were.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was just super weird. Basically growing up my entire life without ever knowing anything about the internet because it didn't exist yet. Just
Hmm.
suddenly being like the sole focus of Absolute Punk's ire and just seeing thousands and tens of thousands of comments of people just being like, I hope their van flips over. Like
Oh.
just the meanest things you've ever seen. And then it reaching a point where like there's an article about us there's a whole thing in the New York Times, Fox News ran a segment where they were basically just like making fun of the crabcore stage thing.
Hmm.
And then I mean there was an article in the Guardian like it went from 0 to 1,000 super fast.
Hmm.
And as a teenager, it was just really weird because I don't know. I thought I was just like hanging out with the boys, like making a song, and now suddenly I'm receiving an insane level. All of us collectively are receiving this insane level of attention, and a lot of it
Hmm.
was like really negative. That's super weird to experience as a young person. You're like, there's no
Yeah.
frame of reference to understand that. But yeah, nowadays I don't really give a sorry, I don't really care nowadays because I know that most people are totally crazy and are absolutely miserable, and so it's just not my responsibility to listen to them. And I'm doing what I want to do, and I have a good time doing it, and I get to do it with people that I really like. And you know what these what all these annoying me kids in the scene need to understand is that they are like you don't have anything, you have no control over what happens here.
Hmm.
And I don't know how many times we have to demonstrate that because we seem to very reliably draw you all out into the open and get you to start saying what we want you to say before we pop out and then make you look like an idiot. Like I don't know how many times we have to do that before you start to realize that this is like our thing. It's not your thing. So,
Sure.
but
Yeah. It's
they're
something
never
we're
going to get it,
trying
and I don't want them to. So you can just delete that whole segment of the interview.
to.
But really, we've got a really good thing going here, and I'm happy that they're so consistent and miserable that I can just manipulate them whenever I want.
For sure. It's also probably just now, you're like, I mean, you said this too, just like, who cares? Like,
Yeah,
to that sense, it's like, would you say Attack Attack was ahead of their time? And in the sense of like an inspired entire like genre in the form of crabcore?
I honestly, it sure seems like it. You
Hmm.
know, I think all of the symptoms of that being the case seem to be present, and it's definitely it's weird to say. Like you can't say that about yourself. I can't say
Sure.
like, oh yeah, we were super ahead
Yeah.
of our time.
Be fair. Yeah.
But I do think that it's extremely crazy
Hmm.
that I'm still seeing high school age kids, people that are like fresh to graduate high school, the same age people that I was when the band first started to really take off, still showing up to the shows
Hmm.
and like carrying the torch from this era that I felt was super significant. I mean, for everyone that was there and saw that, it was insane. There was a crazy level of energy at like Warped Tour in 2009 and 10, and I mean, A Day to Remember was on their way up. There was, a year where it was like Parkway Drive, Suicide Silence, us, A Mirror, and A Day to Remember were like all on the same stage together. Like that's crazy, dude. That's so insane. There were so many influential bands in the space that were just packed in these crappy parking lots. In the dead of summer, people drinking YooHoo and throwing up all over the place. Like it was just it's so like so much was happening, and then it just kind of disappeared. So the fact that it's still that people are still kind of discovering it at the same point in their life and being excited enough about it to get like that invested to
Hmm.
come back to the source and be like, oh, Attack Attack's in town. Let's go meet them and like say what's up. And then they come all dressed up and everything. And I'm like, where is the time portal and how did you fall into it? Like describe it to me. Science needs to study this.
For sure. I think it's also just like uh, to me at least, Attack Attack was the first metalcore band that used like synths in their music, which like if you listen to any modern metalcore band now, their synths plastered
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like to think that like if you were to release something like I'm trying to think of like a modern band that Electric Cowboy. If you were to put Electric Cowboy back in 2005 release an electric one of their songs then I think it would have like maybe not the widespread hate that Attack Attack may have gotten but like would be like viewed poorly compared to how it'd be viewed how it's viewed now where like
Yeah.
everyone loves it and like obviously again like I know it's kind of a question to ask because like you can't just be like yeah I did this thing or like
Yeah.
that was all me. But like, I think it is something where like looking back, it's like maybe well, and I need to watch my own language. Maybe we're full of crap, and the sense would have happened regardless. But like, who knows? It could have
Yeah,
very well stemmed from Stick Sickly and Attack Attack.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it definitely the fact that it's still a meme today, I think, says something. I don't know what it says, but it says
yeah,
something.
yeah, for sure. And like, I've always kind of found the phrase of like any publicity, any publicity is good publicity. Be kind of like weird because like no, but also like people are still talking about this song you released back in like 2000 2000 whatever. I forget when Stick Stickly came out, but uh still talking about it then, still like I wouldn't even say like ripping on it, but still like making like memes about it and still like talking about it to an extent. It's like that's to say something that you're still relevant in our Lord
Hmm.
and Savior 2025. But yeah, don't want to keep you here for too long again. I know you're on tour and tour life is busy and hard. So I just have one more for you. What do you guys have coming up for the future? I know you guys are on tour right now through September, I think.
Hmm.
End of September. What do you got going on post September and post tour?
Um, as of right now, we're working on some unconfirmed plans.
Hmm.
Um, we're kind of just figuring it out right now. We already have some plans for next summer.
Nice.
So we're just kind of like all hands on deck for this release for this tour, and then we're just kind of like seeing what pops up. But there's nothing really to speak about yet. But
Sure.
we're gonna be we're gonna be continuing to push Attack Attack to and find more creative ways to be extremely obnoxious.
And I cannot wait to see what obnoxious plans come out in the future. Everyone, go listen to Attack Attack 2, go see them on tour. And yeah, thank you, Andrew, for doing this.
And of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.